Have you ever noticed that the most powerful person in the room is sometimes the one saying the least? Someone insults them, and they don't react. Someone misunderstands them, and they don't rush to explain. Someone tries to provoke them, and somehow they remain calm. And that kind of calm can make people uncomfortable. Because when someone cannot control your emotions, they cannot easily control you. But here's the deeper question. How does a person become that calm? The answer isn't simply learning to stay quiet. It's something much deeper. It's called emotional maturity. Think about the last time someone said something that hurt you. Maybe they criticized you. Maybe they ignored you. Maybe they spoke to you disrespectfully. And immediately something inside you wanted to respond. You wanted to prove your point. You wanted them to understand. You wanted to make them feel what they had made you feel. But here's the first breadcrumb. The moment you feel the need to react immediately, you have already handed someone else control of your emotions. Emotional maturity begins when you create a small space between what happens and what you do about it. That space may last only 3 seconds, but those 3 seconds can change everything. Because mature people don't necessarily feel less. They simply don't allow every feeling to become an action. And that leads us to something even more important. We often think strength means having the perfect comeback, the clever response, the final word. But sometimes the strongest response is no response at all, not because you're afraid, not because you have nothing to say, but because you have finally learned to ask, is this worth my peace? Imagine someone throws a stone at you. You could pick it up and throw it back. And now both of you are carrying stones, or you could leave it on the ground. That is composure. But don't misunderstand this. Emotional maturity does not mean becoming emotionless. It doesn't mean tolerating disrespect. It doesn't mean staying silent when you should speak. It means choosing your response instead of being dragged into one. And once you understand that, you discover another hidden battle. Sometimes the person you're fighting isn't the person in front of you. It's the voice inside your own head. Why did they say that? What do they think about me? What if they don't respect me? What if I look weak? And suddenly one small comment becomes an entire war inside your mind. This is where emotional maturity becomes difficult. Because controlling your behavior is only the beginning. You must eventually learn to understand your emotions. Anger may be telling you that a boundary was crossed. Sadness may be telling you that something mattered deeply. Fear may be warning you about uncertainty. But an emotion is a messenger, not a commander. You can listen to anger without obeying it. You can acknowledge sadness without becoming it. You can feel fear without allowing it to make every decision. And once you understand your emotions, you begin to understand other people differently too. One of the greatest signs of emotional maturity is realizing that not everything people do is about you. Sometimes people are rude because they're hurting. Sometimes people criticize because they're insecure. Sometimes people withdraw because they're fighting battles you know nothing about. And sometimes people simply make mistakes. When you stop interpreting every action as a personal attack, something changes. You become harder to manipulate. You stop chasing explanations from people who don't want to give them. You stop turning every disagreement into a question of your worth. And slowly you develop something incredibly valuable, inner stability. But there is one final lesson. Because emotional maturity isn't just about staying calm when people hurt you. It's about who you become when nobody is watching. The highest form of emotional maturity is not being calm because you want other people to admire your calmness. It's being calm because you no longer need to prove yourself. You don't need to win every argument. You don't need everyone to understand you. You don't need revenge to feel powerful. You don't need to respond to every provocation. And you don't need applause for choosing peace. You simply know who you are. That's why truly mature people can walk away without making a dramatic announcement. They can apologize without feeling humiliated. They can admit, I was wrong. They can forgive without pretending the hurt never happened. And they can set boundaries without hatred. That is not weakness. That is strength under control. So the next time someone tries to provoke you, don't ask, how can I win this moment? Ask, what kind of person do I want to become because of this moment? Because emotional maturity is built in moments exactly like these. Every time you pause instead of reacting, every time you understand instead of assuming, every time you choose peace instead of revenge, you are becoming stronger. Not louder, not colder, stronger. And eventually, you reach a place where your peace no longer depends on how other people behave. That is when you discover the quietest form of power. You can feel everything without letting everything control you.